Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Sabansi, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. And we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a hell of a show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're not following the DREAMERSPRO podcast, we have that pin in the comments below so you can catch all of our episodes before they come out on YouTube. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. Yesterday was a night that left me absolutely speechless. Totally speechless, and I wasn't the only one. Going into that game last night, the game 7, between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves, I actually picked the Nuggets to win that game. I'd actually picked them to win the series in 6, right? After they had come back and won 3 games in a row. But going into that game, I felt confident in the Nuggets' ability to be able to close this thing out in game 7 on their home court. And in the first half of that game, that's exactly what they did. They went into halftime with a 53-38 lead. At that juncture of the game, Nikola Jokic had 13 points and 15 rebounds. He already had a double-double in the first half with 5 assists. Jamal Murray had 24 points in the first half, and Contavious Caldwell-Pope had 5. Aaron Gordon had 4, and Michael Porter Jr. had 4. On the side of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Jaden McDaniels had 10, Karl Anthony Towns had 3, but a number that really stood out to me was Anthony Edwards, who only had 4 points in the half, going 1 of 7 from the floor with a 14% field goal shooting percentage and 14.3% field goal shooting percentage, which is a percentage that him and Mike Conley shared in that first half. But then we got to the third quarter, and I think going into the half, the Nuggets were up 15 points. We get to the third quarter, and the Timberwolves turn up their defense to levels that I'd never seen, and that I've rarely seen before. And the Nuggets went on a cold streak that was just unlike something I have ever seen. In the third quarter, the Minnesota Timberwolves then scored 28 points to the Nuggets 14. The Nuggets finished that third quarter shooting 26.3% to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who shot 45.4% in that third quarter. And by the time they got to the fourth quarter, that is when everything changed. And I said to myself, it looks like this thing is over, and I want to get into how that actually took place. But before we even get into that, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks, who is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. PrizePicks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting 2 entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. Let's get into that fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter is just essentially when things really went downhill for the for the Denver Nuggets. In that fourth quarter, the Minnesota Timberwolves end up scoring 32 points to the Denver Nuggets 23 points. And if you look at the second half as a whole, remember, the Nuggets in the first half had a 15-point lead going into the halftime, 38-53. In the second half, that means they scored 53 to their 38. In the second half of the game, the Nuggets scored 37 points to the Minnesota Timberwolves 60. And at one point in that game, I have the stat here. The Wolves went on a 54-24 run over a time span of 24 minutes in that game. I had never seen a team go that cold in the second half of a game. I mean, when I said they went cold, they went ice cold in the game. Ice cold. The Denver Nuggets as a team shot 24% from the three. 24. To the Minnesota Timberwolves, who shot 29%. So they made a few more threes, and that was basically the difference in the game. Now, I want to get to the people that's saying that, oh, Nikola Jokic is a fraud, and this, and this, and this, and this, and blah, 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 blah. Here are the facts. Nikola Jokic finished that game with 34 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 block with 3 turnovers. Jamal Murray finished that game with 35 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He did have some crucial turnovers, as well as Jokic, on 48% shooting from the field. But here's the problem. Those were the only 2 Denver Nuggets to score in double digits. There were only 2 players on that Denver Nuggets roster that scored above double digits. The Denver Nuggets bench scored a grand total of 5 points. And it's the reason why Nikola Jokic played virtually 47 minutes in the game. On the other hand, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, all 5 of their starters were in double figures, and Naz Reid came off the bench and gave them 11 points. Anthony Edwards only finished with 16 points on 25% shooting. That game goes to Jaden McDaniels and Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, who hit some pretty incredible shots, especially that turnaround fadeaway shot that he hit. I'm like, what? Rudy Gobert is hitting these type of shots? And I think what happened is the Nuggets really missed their depth. With Green and Brown that they had, I think it was Bruce Brown that they had last year, they missed that punch off the bench. What's his name? Reggie Jackson didn't give him anything. If I'm looking at the box score, I think Reggie Jackson scored off the bench for them. He scored what? 0 points. He had more personal foul than points. Now he only played 5 minutes, but still, they had no scoring off the bench. So after looking at this game, was I stunned by the performance of the Minnesota Timberwolves? You better believe it. You better believe it, because for them to win 3 games in Denver in one series is unheard of, especially if you look at the Denver Nuggets record in terms of their home record prior to that. It's unheard of. It's unprecedented. So it is wildly impressive. But if you're the Denver Nuggets and you're looking at this team and you're looking how things went, I think if they go into this offseason, they clearly need some more firepower. Clearly. They need a more potent bench. Reggie Jackson didn't get it done. He didn't get it done for them. I'm not putting the game on him, but that was the game. Nikola Jokic had to play virtually the entire game. So I'm not putting it on him. He played the entire game and he worked his tail off. And he was the only one really making shots. Jamal Murray had 24 points, I believe it was in the first half. He only had 7 in the second half or something like that, or 9 in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. So to me, listen, look, I tip my hat to the Minnesota Timberwolves because I didn't expect them to win. It was a very, very impressive win. In the case of the Denver Nuggets, it really shows you that how hard it is to go back to back. That you got to be a really special basketball team to be able to do something like that, and hopefully they come back better next year. So these are my thoughts and opinions on this one. What I want to know from you guys, what do you think about today's show? What do you think about what you saw last night? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.